He has described himself as the hairy Enya, the Ryanair Buble, the 9-volt battery-powered Beethoven, and he is coming to a comedy stage near us in the Midlands this weekend. Driven by a love of the arts, they got together to start the newest musical society in the Midlands, and they want to wow you with their very first show, Liz Turner's play Exit Routes. And it's almost 30 years since it was last on the go. It's 40 bands, it's 20 venues, and it's Portlaoise Jazz Festival. You're welcome to Encore this evening. Claire O'Brien here with you, as I am every Thursday evening between 7 and 8 o'clock, with the best of what's happening in the arts in Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. And we have a great show lined up for you this evening. David O'Doherty is one of the funniest men on stage and indeed on TV and indeed on his podcast. He's a regular guest on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, and he's hilarious. He's coming to Mullingar Arts Centre with his new show, Highway to the David Zone, on Saturday night via a chat here with me on the airwaves on Midlands 103 Towers. Tarlington Musical Society are raring to go with their first production, and it is one they're pretty sure you haven't seen yet. They're a brand new musical society, and they will be joining me in studio to chat about their upcoming play. It'll be on later on this month. And Jazz Festival time is rolling around in Portlaoise for the February long weekend, and for the first time in almost 30 years. If you're not into jazz, you're saying, well, Bob Batty thinks you might just well be. And he will be in studio a little later on to chat to us about what we can expect at a jazz festival. And that's all to come on the show this evening. Now, the only reason you have permission to turn off the radio is if you're going to go out and do something fabulous arts-wise this evening. And one thing you could do is head to the Encore Arts Centre to the Calathea Quartet. You might remember at the end of the programme last week I played some music from them, some Schubert, and it was gorgeous. So if you fancy that vibe this evening, we will forgive you for tuning out to take in some live arts tonight. That's at the Encore Arts Centre in Tullamore. 083 3010 103 is the Lamb Brothers Midlands 103 text line. You can drop me a line here tonight if you like. I'd love to hear from you. And of course you can contact me on encore at midlands103.com at any stage, day or night, to let me know what's happening in the arts in your neck of the woods. New Irish music on the show now, and we will start with Oliver Cole from County Meath with a song from his upcoming album called Wingspan, and after that it is the turn of Simple Things from the other end of the country. They are from County Kerry. You're listening to Encore on Midlands 103, and when the music is all over, we will be chatting to David O'Doherty. You're listening to Encore. It's Midlands 103.
Midlands 103.
And still to come on Encore this evening, we'll find out about Portarlington Musical Society, brand new, born in 2025, and they are so excited to bring you their first production in a couple of weeks' time. Our next guest has described himself as a failed jazz musician. He owns 18, at the last count, bicycles. He has written children's books and has won pretty much any comedy accolade which is worth having. He is the man with the tiny piano. He will be in Mullingar Arts Centre on Saturday night, and he joins me on the line. David O'Doherty, you're very welcome to Encore.
Terrible news, Claire. Another bike arrived in the post the day before yesterday, so that's inaccurate, your intro. There's now 19 bikes in this house.
Oh, roasted already, and this programme has only just started. 19 bicycles. As a person who has never seen the point of a bicycle and just think it's all over pain, why one? Why 19?
Well, I'm of a very specific age that some of the listeners will be, which is when Stephen Roach and Sean Kelly were the number 1 and number 2 cyclists in the world. So kind of late 80s into the 90s. And I wanted to become a professional cyclist. And somehow it's looking more unlikely, you know what I mean, into my late 40s, and now I'm 50. But I hold out hope, and the one thing I will have is enough bikes if it does happen.
And are they all the same, or do they all do something differently? You know,
How dare you? How dare you? They are incredibly different. It's funny, they're divided between... So Granny lived on Achill, and so there's a bunch down there in the cottage, and that's where Mullingar comes in, because we did that drive, I'd say 8 times a year. And it used to be a serious drive before there were any motorways or
That's right.
bypasses. And Mullingar is a very significant town for me because it was the first town where we were allowed to have a wee.
And probably an ice cream on the fine day and maybe the chips on the way home. No?
The whole shebang. It would. The main memory was Dad just walking into a pub and just sort of pretending he was perusing the whiskies while us 3 kids just ran into the loo.
I should have started, if we hadn't been diverted by bicycles, the first thing I would have asked you would have been a very unoriginal question, which is, what did you do yesterday?
Oh my goodness. So I do this podcast with that title, and it's seemingly reasonably popular now. And the reason I know is because I'd say once every 2 days in the supermarket or on the street, someone shouts, "What did you do yesterday?" at me, which is fine if you know that it's a podcast I do.
Yeah.
But if you don't know it's a podcast, it seems like I've done something terrible.
Well, what did you do yesterday? Because it has to be interesting. Now, you're under pressure to be entertaining.
I recorded an episode of the popular podcast What Did You Do yesterday, which is the least interesting possible answer to that. It's really fun. I mean, I know it's a bit of a cliche that everyone has a podcast, but I do this one with, I mean, it's the miracle of technology, really. I do it with Max Rushton, who some listeners might know as he's a Guardian journalist who hosts the Guardian Football Podcast, which is one of the world's biggest football podcasts. And he's in a shed in Melbourne, and I'm in a basement in Ireland. And through the wonders of modern technology, most people think we're sitting opposite each other at a desk.
And I don't know how many episodes you're in now, but you never run out of things to say, random and relevant and interesting and banal becoming interesting. How far in advance do you plan? Do you structure it? Do you script it, or do you just hang out and see what happens?
You see, the reason I could never host your show is because you have to read all these press releases and see what exciting things are happening at the moment, whereas you talk to Gary Lineker, and eventually it turns out that he went to buy asparagus and fried it up for his lunch and then ate a wagon wheel. So they're different sorts of broadcasting, but they're both legitimate broadcasting, Claire, I think.
Oh, absolutely. You get some great guests on that show too, don't you?
Yeah, I think people like going on it because they don't have to do any preparation. They just have to remember what they did yesterday. And we like doing it because we don't have to do any preparation either. We just make them go through their yesterdays in incredible, tedious detail, which sounds trite and stupid. But, you know, there's a really nice thing where Alison Spiffel, Westmead's Finest, was on recently. And she went to visit her grandfather, who was in a care home in London, and they drank port because he loved port and ate cheese and bits. And he passed away over Christmas.
Oh.
And a lot of people then listened back to that because it's just such a loving, beautiful thing to do with your afternoon. And so, I don't know, it has some meaning. Sure, what is life? It's just what happens while you're making other plans.
Well, is life cheese, David? Because I was wondering where we're going to get to a point on the programme where the word cheese would get a mention, and already it's turned up.
Oh, my goodness. This is... So, we did this last year, and it ended up taking 5 months. This is going to sound absolutely insane to anyone who doesn't listen to it. For Christmas, the O'Doherty family had 20 people over this year, and I got 5 cheeses, and the audience have to guess what those cheeses are, and to help them, I make the sounds from Catchphrase, the TV show, because the only I would say the only proper skill I have in life, Claire, is the ability to make this sound, which is the sound that the buzzer used to make on Catchphrase. Thank you very much.
Speaking of making sounds, there's a wonderful segue there. You will have your tiny piano with you when you come to Mullingar on Saturday night, because it goes everywhere with you. Does it have a special place in the bikes? I should ask that one.
It's in a big orange sports bag. Like, it started off just as a method of not paying for excess baggage on Ryanair, like as you would have to if you carted around a full-size electric piano. But then it's just very convenient. I have a system recently whereby I have a very long back, and the great thing about that is the keyboard, if you're taking a flight, the keyboard sits between shoulder blades and the top of your bum. So when the person from the airline makes the walk down to see if anyone does have a big bag, they don't see it. So I don't know. I don't think at this point I could play a big piano.
I am always fascinated because I'm most familiar with the tiny piano from 8 out of 10 Cats
Sure.
Does Countdown, which I just love. But it amazes me how many different ways you have to hold that keyboard, because sometimes you hold it like a baby, in your arms, and sometimes it's like you're burping it over your shoulder.
Look, that keyboard was a gift for my confirmation. And it still means a lot to me. People on that show mock it. Dozens of abusive comments come in every time I'm on it, but I don't know. I like it. It's a beautiful sound comes off it.
The songs, the little lyrics, the musical interludes that are going to punctuate the show, the Highway to the David Zone, those will all have been written and prepared in advance. But how quick off the mark are you to pull a few verses together, or a verse indeed, if you're called on?
Yeah, well, firstly, I think that's the first time I've ever heard anyone say Highway to the David Zone out loud, because they ask you to think of the name for your show, and I just thought that was a good name. And now I've just realized how ridiculous a name for a show it is. The songs are loose but also tight in another way.
Yeah.
But if anything happens, oh my goodness, yeah, the whole superstructure can be changed at the drop of a hat. It's kind of the beauty of comedy, or the sort of comedy that I do, as opposed to, like, I always think it must be awful to be trapped in a bad play because you have to say these words in exactly this order every night. Whereas, if a gig's going badly, I have the opportunity just to change the whole thing. I can just, do more songs or less songs or whatever, however I feel on a given night.
Yeah. You describe yourself as a failed jazz musician. Your dad is the very famous Jim Doherty. I'd say there isn't a person in Ireland of a certain age who doesn't know who Jim Doherty is. And then there's probably a lot of people of another age who don't know who he is. But you were in Trinity College Jazz Society. You're obviously a man who could use his musical talents in different ways. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. Well, it is. Like, people of an age would know, because Dad wrote loads of theme music on RTE when we were growing up. He wrote stuff like Wanderley Wagon and Safe Cross Code and stuff like that. So I was always aware that he was very talented, and we would have these amazing musicians come over to the house, and they would all jam in the sitting room. And from an early age, I realized with my little confirmation keyboard, I would never be that. So I think you got to find your own direction then, and my own direction has led to wherever I am.
Wherever the bike takes you. I didn't realise he was the man behind. Look, is it 1, look for a safe place? 2, don't hurry, stop and wait. Is he the man behind that?
He co-wrote that one.
Oh my God.
Then he wrote loads of. There's a funny thing where of the musicians of that generation, they all had their serious music projects. Like, one of my best friends growing up was Kathy Davey, an amazing singer, and her father was Sean Davey, who at the same time that he wrote Ripples in the Rock Pools, Ripples in the Sea, Ripples in the Sand Dunes, he also wrote Pennies, got a whole lot of things for Christmas, got a lot. So there's always two sides to these very serious musicians.
Yeah, and all these ones that we that will never go out of our memory, never go out of our memory. Tell me, are you looking forward to Mullingar?
Oh yeah, I've been down there. I'd say 2 or 3 times, and yeah, it's one of those towns that the only thing is it's tricky if you go to get a bite before the gig because you meet 40% of the people who are coming to the gig. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have that awkward thing where they feel the need to say something, and they normally say something like, "You better be funny," something mildly threatening. But I will do my best to be as funny as possible. Yeah, I used to play the stables down there when I was starting out, and then to move on to the Arts Centre, which is in many ways, the 3 Arena of
Westmeath.
Mullingar.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be any danger of you not being funny, so you can put the threats aside. It's guaranteed to be a great show. And with the title, you can't help but kind of mentally sing "Highway to the David Zone." David O'Doherty, thanks a million for joining us on Encore this evening. I really appreciate you taking the time, and have a great show in Mullingar.
Can't wait. Thanks, Claire.
Thanks a million, David. And that is the legend. That is David O'Doherty, one of the funniest men on the working in comedy, and he will be in the new series of 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, which I think kicks off on this Friday night, tomorrow night. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it will be to chat to a couple of the members of Portarlington Musical Society. Stay with us. You're listening to Encore on Midlands 103.
Midlands 103.
And you're very welcome back to Encore this evening. And still to come, I will be chatting to Bob Batty about Portlaoise Jazz Festival, which is taking place on the St. Bridget's weekend in a couple of weeks' time for the first time in almost 30 years. And he'll be chatting to us about why jazz may not be as exclusive and out of our league as many of us seem to think that it is. Portarlington last year gave birth to a brand new musical society, Portarlington Musical Society, and their first show is happening on the 24th and 25th of January. It is called Exit Routes, and it's by Liz Turner. I'm joined in studio by Alison Looney and Yvette Flanagan. Ladies, you are most welcome to the Midlands 103 Towers.
Thanks. Hi, thanks.
Alison, we'll start with you, and you might tell us why. Why did Portarlington need a musical society?
So, Claire, there are 12 musical societies in the Midlands area, and having moved to Portarlington myself only a year and a half ago, it's interesting because the musical societies are growing within the whole of Ireland, and the reason why it came about is this lovely lady by the name of Rebecca Buckley, who's living in Portarlington, wanted herself to start up a musical society in Portarlington. And the aim of the musical society within the town is to encourage the local talent, to build the confidence, and to provide meaningful artistic opportunities to local people, and as well as other people living in other surrounding areas. We are open and welcome to anyone who wishes to join the society. I suppose, coming from a background and having been involved in musical societies over the last 11 years now, it's such an exclusive society to be involved in, but an amazing one too, because there are so many amazing people that are involved, and there's other roles, like you don't have to just be on stage.
Exactly.
Doing the show. There's so many other roles that involve everyone of all ages and abilities, like backstage crew, costumes, building the set. It's for everybody of all abilities.
And at this time of the year in the winter, people love to be getting out and getting involved in something. What musical societies and groups were you involved in before you came to this neck of the woods?
So I'm originally from Killarney, so I would have started in Killarney Musical Society back in 2015.
Right.
Then I moved to Dublin and I became a member of Kilcock Musical Society that I've been heavily involved in with the last number of years.
Yeah.
And now starting up a musical society with some fabulous women. is very, very exciting to bring this to Portarlington.
And there is phenomenal talent in Portarlington in a general sense. It's lots of new bands. It seems like every 6 months there's a new musician coming out of Portarlington, and there's arts and crafts. There's a variety of different, I suppose, individuals and hubs of performers. But a musical society brings a whole different energy. So when you had your first meeting and you got together, Yvette, you decided that you were going to perform Exit Routes by Liz Turner. Tell us why you chose this as your first show.
So we chose Exit Routes as our first show because a lot of our members in the society are at the moment predominantly female. Yeah. So we kind of had to pick a play that was kind of an all-female cast. So we kind of rifled through a couple of different ones and we landed on Exit Routes because it's a type of play there's a bit of drama that goes on in it, but it's like very comical as well. Yeah. And it fitted the dynamic of the women we had to do the play. Yeah. So that's why we chose that one.
Give us the gist of the story, because I think a lot of people won't be familiar with it.
Yeah, myself, I never heard of the play until before reading the script. And basically it's about 5 women who all work in a factory. And it's a mixture of like different backgrounds, different ages, different like types of even cultures within the workplace. And we all put in, I say we because I'm in it.
Identifying totally with your character.
Yeah. I actually play the character Laura, who's like 19 and really ditzy and away with the fairies. But we all put in for like the Christmas Club and the Lotto Syndicate.
Yes.
And when it comes to the day that the Lotto numbers come out, one of the other women find out another one of our colleagues has ran off with her husband and also the lotto money. So, yeah. And then in the end, I won't ruin it, but things work out well and we all plan our exit routes out of the factory.
Okay. So there's great expectation and hope.
Yeah.
But you discover maybe that winning the lotto doesn't solve everything.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Money doesn't solve all your problems.
Doesn't solve all your problems. And I suppose there's the really interesting dynamic in a workplace like that, where you have women who have been coming from all those different backgrounds that you talk about, and they're working together, and they have some very shared experiences, but also lives that maybe their colleagues are not involved in outside of the factory doors. There's that really interesting tension then between their outside of work lives and their inside of work relationships.
Oh, absolutely. And like even I'm an SNA, I work in a school in Mount Mellick, and even sitting in the staff room chatting with all of the other teachers and SNAs, it's the very same as the play. We're all different backgrounds, we all have different lives and different stories. It's a very exciting play. No, I'm excited to do it now, yeah.
And Alison, as somebody who's been involved in musical theatre and productions for a long time, how does Exit Routes fit in the scheme of those kind of work that you've been involved in before?
Yeah, so I suppose while we're known as a musical society, I've been involved in plays as well. And a lot of societies will understand that in order to put on a musical, it does cost a lot of money. So we went down the Exit Routes play as a fundraiser, and it's very exciting to be involved in, and it's
anytime we every year when we talk to musical societies, it seems like the cost of putting on one of those big shows, it can be 20, 25, it can be 30,000 euros by the time there are directors, choreographers, musicians, bands, costumes, rights, and the expectations of audiences get higher and higher and higher, and the Ames Awards keep coming, and it means that people are upping their game all the time. It must be very exciting, but also very challenging to be standing at the bottom of the musical mountain, looking up at it, considering how hard you have to work to be able to get enough money to put on a musical show, I suppose.
Yes, and now we've been very lucky because we've had great support from the locals and local businesses within the town, and we have our members who have been very supportive as well, you know, and like while it will take us time to put on a show, we will be putting on a musical in 2027. We will just need to do a lot of fundraising before that. So look, we are very excited to put on Exit Routes as our first production.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and please God, in a number of years, we'll look back and we'll see how much we'll have grown at that stage, you know, and see the success of the Musical Society. And again, I suppose just to reiterate that it is for everyone, whether it's being on stage, backstage, building sets, helping with costumes, you know, we are open to all ages and all abilities, and anyone is more than welcome.
And even at this stage, though, the performance will be ready to go in a couple of weeks' time in Dunamace. I think it's Dunamace, isn't it?
We're doing.
No, you're in Portarlington. Yes,
the Parochial Hall in
Parochial Hall.
Portarlington. That's right.
Yeah. At this stage, you know, you're almost ready with this production. Is there still time for people to come along and get involved, or will they be saying to themselves, "Oh, you know, this show's nearly over. It's not going to be much going on here"?
No, not at all. Like, we'd only be delighted if people wanted to volunteer to help front of house, sell raffle tickets, seat people to their seats. You know, any help is more than welcome. And if they'd like to get in contact, they're more than welcome to maybe email the Musical Society on portarlingtonmusicalsociety@gmail.com. And also we have our Instagram, which is portarlington_musical_society. So get in touch through that as well. Yeah. It's never too late to join anything.
No, it's not. And I think especially people are kind of geared up in the new year, aren't they? To start something or to get out and meet new people and to, especially men, you'd like more men to get involved, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, no, definitely. We definitely need a couple of more men in the mix.
Yeah.
This is it. And I think January New Year's resolutions and all that, it's a good time to try something new, try something different. So if anyone out there is thinking of, you know, oh, I'd like to try this, give it a go. You know, I suppose just going back on my own experience, I never thought I'd be into musicals, and a friend of mine encouraged me to try it once, and only for me trying it, here I am 11 years down the line and like trying to set up a musical society, which is very exciting. So anyone out there that's listening, if you feel you want to try it, give us an email and come along and give it a shot.
Exactly, like take it from me, I was in, I think, a production of Annie when I was maybe 8 or 9, and I never done a thing since. And then when I saw Portarlington Musical Society was starting up, I knew I always wanted to do it or give it a try, and I joined and I've never looked back. Like, I love it.
Because the sense of community, as well as the buzz of performance
absolutely,
and rehearsal, the sense of community is fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well. We've had such support from, you know, surrounding musical societies that have given us great advice and great help on how to get started. It is such a great community to be involved in, and people travel from, you know, all over to different societies to do shows, and you just make so many friends and meet so many lovely people. It is an amazing community.
Okay, well, Exit Routes is on in the Parochial Hall in Portarlington on the 24th and the 25th of January. Alison Looney and Yvette Flanagan, thank you so much for coming in. I hope you fill the halls and get a great response and great encouragement to boost you and keep you going, and keep in touch with us here on Encore. If you decide to do another performance during the year to fill the coffers again, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you.
And the best of luck.
Thanks so much for having us, Claire.
You're most welcome. It's been such a pleasure. We're going to take a quick break, and after that we will be joined here in studio in Tullamore by Bob Batty to talk about Portlaoise Jazz Festival. Do stay with us.
Midlands 103.
And you're very welcome back to Encore. Portlaoise Jazz Festival is up and running again after almost 30 years in the quiet times, and I am joined in studio by Bob Batty, saxophonist, to tell us a little bit about what made you decide to start all over again. Bob, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Claire. Yes, it was John Tynan's idea. John's our chairman, and he would have been around as a young man in the 90s when when the festival was going. Mm-hmm. I actually came over from to Ireland in 1997, and I think I caught the last year, and I was so pleased that there was a jazz festival close to me, and I was so disappointed that it didn't happen the following year. So, but I'm delighted that it's up and running again. So yeah.
And why? Why did you start to pull it together again? Because these things are great in theory. You think, God, it would be great to get the jazz festival going again. And then you sit down a group of people in a room and you realise, we have to do the advertising. We have to organise the venues. We have to get people to come. We have to do all the promos. We have to get the insurance and do all of that stuff. It's a bigger deal, I think, maybe than people realise when they go along, perhaps.
Yeah, it's been a journey and an education from my point of view. These are all things that I don't have to deal with normally.
Yeah.
So, it's very interesting. And in fairness, the lads are all very can-do, so they've rolled the sleeves up and done things. They've gone out and on cold days and put signs up on the outskirts of Portlaoise.
And they're lovely, actually. Yeah. Is there a desire for jazz in Portlaoise at the moment and the surrounding areas, or is it just one man and his saxophone in Cloughan and John Tynan in Portlaoise thinking, God, we have to get it going again?
I suppose we're taking a leap of faith, and we know there's an appetite for music in general.
Yes.
And there are several major festivals around the area. I mean, obviously, there's the Electric Picnic, there's the Folk Festival, there's Portlaoise Trad Fest, and there's the Forest Festival. So there's clearly a nucleus of people who like different kinds of music, and we hope they might like jazz as well. So,
yeah. And lots of people, when they hear the word jazz, they'll go, might not be for me. But the spectrum of what is jazz is so broad that there is something there for everybody.
Yeah, I'd like to hope so. Yeah. Jazz has been around. The first recorded jazz was in 1918, and that was what we call traditional jazz these days. And came out of New Orleans, and it's really blossomed over the last 100 and some years.
Yeah.
And, it's a very broad church these days, as you say, and I think there is something for everybody. People who like a bit of rock music will hear things that are akin to rock music.
Yeah.
And people like the older forms or the vocal styles. We'll get something out of it as well. So there's a wide range of bands.
So when you come along to program this, and I think I said at the head of the program there are, is it 40 different performers that you have, 20 different venues, and they range from the library to Ballykilcavan Brewery, which is a gorgeous venue, to all the different bars in and around Portlaoise. Kavanagh's, of course, the home of live music in Portlaoise.
Indeed. Yeah.
How do you program something like this?
It's kind of a jigsaw puzzle, really. There's been some over and back with the venues regarding what bands would suit them better than others. For example, there were only certain pubs we could put the Hot House Big Band in. Yeah. Obviously not the pubs mainly. Most of them would accommodate a 5-piece band, but not the 22 strong members of the Hot House.
Which is going to be a night that'll blow the roof off.
Oh, it will, yeah. They've got a great... they've been at it for years in Dublin and they really know their craft, so it should be sensational.
You won't be at that though, will you? Because you will be with Tiny Crimes, I presume, performing.
That's
tell us
pleasing
about
and annoying at the same time.
Tell us about Tiny Crimes and the kind of jazz that gets you excited to perform.
Well, Tiny Crimes started off as a 3-piece band with 2 guitarists who guitar notes, and they liked the music of Charlie Christian, who was the first electric guitarist of any note. A very short career of about 18 months, but he worked with Benny Goodman and would have worked with Charlie Parker a little bit as well. So a short but spectacular career.
Yeah.
And they liked Charlie Christian. They liked a guy called Tiny Grimes. So they took his name and bent it a little bit. So there we go. So we're all tiny criminals.
And where did your own interest in jazz come from?
Oh, I go back a long way. I studied music at school in England, and there was a particular pub which had a big band for beginners, like people who weren't experienced in jazz.
Yeah.
And it was run by an ex-pro called Rod Marshall, and I used to go there and I used to play the bassoon, which is before I was even playing the saxophone. So I used to play the baritone sax part on bassoon. Nobody could hear it. Probably just as well.
And then you moved into the saxophone from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you know, as Tiny Crimes, are there opportunities for you to perform all over Ireland? Are there jazz audiences all over Ireland that are kind of, I suppose, niche clubs or regular events that are happening?
Well, what we have noticed is there's been an explosion of venues in Dublin that are putting jazz on compared to even 5 years ago.
Yeah,
certainly. I can't explain where it's come from, but we're very pleased about it. So,
yeah.
It's created opportunities for us to play.
Yeah.
So we were at Dunleary Rathdowney Summerfest in the summer. We were supporting Rob Strong.
Rob Strong, which must have been a fantastic night out.
It really was a super gig.
I think if people, you have a fabulous little brochure, and it has a lovely little jazz trail on it, which is really clear for people to follow, so you can see where the music is happening. There are workshops happening in Laois Music Centre. I think even if people are not sure about what it is, they might like to go along to some of the names, like Bossa Nua and Moon Rockers and 8-Bit Funk. Some of those will give people an idea. I think,
yes.
I can see where that might fit into music that I'm familiar with.
Yes.
And I suppose it's very easy to get on social media or get onto Spotify or wherever people hear their music and hear some of these bands, or on YouTube, and get a sense, and take a jazz adventure.
Yes, it's a great opportunity for people to see things which they mightn't see in Portlaoise every day of the week.
Yeah.
I hope it'll be a refreshing change. There are some fantastic artists, and you mentioned the Ballykilcavern Brewery, and there's Yuzuru O'Halloran. She's a lady from Japan originally, and she's a super saxophone player.
Okay, so tell us why, if people are planning their weekend of the February bank holiday weekend, why should Portlaoise Jazz Festival be part of it?
Well, I think there's a fantastic array of events. I can recommend all of them without reservation. I could go to see any of them if I wasn't actually playing myself. So I must organise this a bit better next year. That I'm not tied up. So
that you're not tied up, exactly. Yeah, but it's a wonderful opportunity to revitalise something that was so strong and so powerful in Portlaoise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bob, thank you so much for coming in to chat to us. It's been a pleasure to have you. All of the details for the festival are available on portlaoisejazzfest.ie, and there are 40 different performers of all the different kinds. And over the next couple of weeks on the programme, we'll be playing some of those performers for you. We'll have some Lee Meehan on the show next week for you, just to give you a little flavour of the Lee Meehan quartet and the kind of music that he does. We'll be back in this seat next week with more of what's happening in the arts in Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Encore at midlands103.com is the email address if you'd like to get in touch. I know that the great Joe Cooney is in the building, getting ready to bring you all the tunes that you love on country roads. So I'll say for now, good night. Take care of yourself.